Alright, welcome back. We have Horror vs. Seed in our second set of the IM in-house tournament, week 2 for Clash of the Houses. And our map is Icy Cup Test Bug. So, here we go.
Alright, here we go indeed. There we go. It is I'm Seed spawning. Seed SG, interesting. I'm Seed spawning as the red Protoss down at the 7 o'clock position on Icy Cup Test Bug. His opponent is going to be I'm Horror, a very scary sounding Zerg, spawning as the blue color in this map over at the 3 o'clock position. So the question is, a scary name, but is he actually a scary Zerg in terms of skill?
Well, in terms of skill, absolutely, but the guy is actually a very friendly person. Looks very unintimidating, actually.
Kind of like Casper the Friendly Ghost, instead of more of a horror, really.
But more Asian and with straighter hair.
Oh, well, there you go. Wait, Casper doesn't have hair. He's like a bald ghost.
There you go.
Wow. Mind blown, I guess? Anyway, looks like we do have gas going down first. No, it was just an extractor trick. I wasn't looking at the food at all. And a lot of Zergs really aren't doing that extractor trick too often anymore, just because it does use a little bit of income up. The one nice thing about doing the extractor trick, though, is that you can get 3 drones started right away after the Overlord completes, rather than just 2 and then your third one a little bit later. So, I mean, that's why I think you kind of see some Zergs still doing it. I think most, though, do the 9 Overlord, but ultimately there's not a huge difference either way.
Yeah, if you actually look at the math of it, it's pretty much equal, so it's more of a stylistic thing. A lot of these Zerg players that come from Brood War are actually just accustomed to doing it, so they just keep doing it even in StarCraft 2. There's really no negative to do it if you do it perfectly.
I think Nestea does it pretty often, actually, if I remember right.
A lot of the Korean Zergs actually do, but if you're a Zerg player at home, maybe you're a Forever Bronze, whatever, don't feel the need to try to do the extractor trick. It doesn't actually give you any sort of crazy advantage or anything like that.
It does give you something to do while you're waiting for the game to kind of get going, though. So, and it's a nice thing to kind of fall back on if you're not really paying attention. You accidentally make 10 drones instead of do the 9 Overlord. You're like, no problem, extractor trick. Although I wouldn't recommend a double extractor trick. That's a little bit too much.
That is very true, unless you're trying to get some sort of 12 pool or something like that.
Yeah, so we do see Seed scouting the base of Horror. The base of Horror, that sounds like a very, very frightening place to be in. But anyway, yeah, the base of Horror being scouted. At the same time, the base of Seed being semi-scouted as well. He's going to see a very normal-looking front to the base, and that's kind of a reassuring sign. If you see anything kind of weird, then as a Zerg player, you really start to worry, of course. He's going to get to fly in here, see the second gas, and that's basically going to tell him that, okay, it's probably going to be an expand build. If he's familiar with the gas timings at all in Protoss openings, that's about when you would see it. Most likely we're going to see another couple gateways go down here, and it looks like Horror is just going to expand. He knows he's got some time to stay a little bit safe, and he definitely wants to get that economy going. So, so far, nothing really out of the ordinary at all in this game quite yet.
Yeah, as a Protoss player against Zerg, you've really got 2 main openings you can do, at least in the current style of the game. You can do the style that Seed's doing, and just go for your Gateway, Cybernetics Core, and then tech up from there. Or you can go for the Forge Fast Expand, which we see a lot of the top Protoss doing right now.
Yeah.
The timings are a little tricky. There are ways that the Zerg can all-in you and have the advantage. So it's always a trade-off. And in a game like StarCraft 2 with imperfect knowledge, you got to do something some of the time, but you can't do one thing all the time. There's always got to be some sort of guessing going on, otherwise your opponent can just hard counter you and practice that and do it very, very well. And you don't really want to be at a disadvantage in a game like this, especially right in the beginning.
Well, yeah, in Pro StarCraft 2, the one thing you really want to avoid being is predictable. A really good example, actually, speaking of not being predictable, looks like it's going to be kind of a late 4-gate from Seed instead. There's the forward pylon getting ready. But the one thing I was going to mention was predictability rather, is if you remember the GSL series between Demaga and Nestea, he noticed that, Demaga noticed that Nestea never ever drone scouts. He always just goes catch first. That's why Demaga, with the help of Baro here, designed that 9-pool opening that just straight up killed Nestea in the GSL World Championship. You can go back and watch that game. I think it was game 2, but a very cool all-in from Demaga, all based off of Nestea being predictable. So yeah, you don't want to be predictable.
Yeah, that's very true, and just to touch on that a little bit more, there were a lot of really good games in the World Championships for GSL, so you can go check that out at www.gumtv.net. All the World Championship VODs are free in high quality. There was the World Championship individual tournament, and as well as a World All-Stars versus the Korean All-Stars, which was the top 8 ranked players in the GSL.
I knew it! I knew he was going to cancel that Nexus. You know, some Protoss players lately have been getting 4 gates just to kind of stay safe and then genuinely expanding, but I had a feeling that Seed was going to do something fishy, and look at that. Horror still thinks that there's a Nexus building, although I'm sure he's played enough Protoss players to kind of expect this eventuality. He does see a larger group of units than he was kind of expecting to come in here. So the question is, will he be able to defend it? 24 Zerglings in the production queue right now, but are they going to come out in time? He has roaches, but no spine crawlers, and some of those roaches being trapped there, they're all going to go down. Zerglings coming in from behind, but a lot of them getting trapped by those force fields. Things are looking a little bit rough right now for a Zerg player, although he is picking up some of those units. The Zerglings have spawned again, but again the force field's kind of keeping them back, although now that those sentries are very, very low on energy, he's going to pick up that pylon and try to do it, but no, the Zerg army just getting way too fragmented to really clean up the force.
Yeah, and it looked like the Zerg was actually going to be able to take it, because there was that one missed force field there, which let some Zerglings in and took it a lot more Protoss than it really should have. But the counterattack from the Zerg is going to be able to push this back. These roaches do a ton of damage, and the Zerglings are going to be able to create a wall against those Zealots, which are really what needs to be fighting these roaches back.
Yeah, it was just enough, just barely enough. I think we get enough roaches to hold this now, barring any sort of mass warp-in that somehow do live. So as the roaches push back the Stalkers, kudos to our Zerg player for being able to defend that. That's a very, very tough rush to defend. Horror, of course, did kind of expect it, I've got the feeling, and Seed has to pull back, and now is at a real disadvantage economy-wise.
Yeah, he did force a lot of workers to be made instead of drones, so there are only a 6 drone lead right now, but that is going to start accelerating, so it is 2 bases, 2-1. However, the Zerg player is going to try to put on as much pressure as he can right now, only making fighting units, see what he can do. Maybe he can win the game right now, maybe he can't, but it doesn't hurt to try.
It's certainly possible. I mean, a lot of times as a Zerg player, you can just mass speedlings and run them into base. He does have roaches at the front as well to kite those Zealots. And the nice thing about that is that he can make sure that the Zealots aren't going to be blocking the entrance. He's going to need to be very, very careful not to lose too many speedlings. More roaches reinforcing right now, and things are looking very, very bad for Seed. The last of the Zealots get taken out. More sentries warp in, but it's not going to be enough. Right now, Seed really needs the DPS from Stalkers and Zealots, but he just doesn't have that. Roaches marching triumphantly into the base, and I think we're going to see a GG from Seed any second now.
Yeah, and he really didn't need, or Horror really didn't need to get the win right now. What he's doing is he's forcing all the resources of the Protoss players to put into a little bit of a BM right there for the 2 different players. No G. Oh, the final
He's just like,
GG,
no, don't kill me, no, no. But, of course, Horror is like, you 4-gated me, you dirty Protoss. Of course he's gonna kill him.
Yeah, so what he was doing right there was he was trying to just put on the pressure to force the units of Seed to be produced instead of the teching up, while the Zerg was still able to tech to Hydras. So if that one attack didn't win, which there's a slight chance that it could, which obviously it did because we just saw that.
Well, yeah.
So if that attack didn't win right then and there, it was still in Horror's favor because he did have that tech advantage moving into the mid game.
Yeah. But a lot of Zergs, sometimes you need to play in a sort of July fashion where if you sense that weakness, you just need to go all in and try to kill him. And so yeah, I like that decision by Horror. A lot of times you can kill Protoss right at that point in the game. And luckily for him, it worked out. So yeah, Horror up 1-0 right now in this best of 3 between Horror and our Protoss player, of course, whose name is Seed. No one will ever forget him, and I'll stop talking.
Alright, we're back with game number 2 of Horror vs. Junwei in week 2 of the Clash of the Houses, focusing on I Am House today. So the map is Metalopolis, and here we go.
Alright, so at the 12 o'clock position, we've got our Zerg player. It's going to be Incredible Miracles Horror, winner of our last game after a failed kind of 4-gate all-in from our Protoss player, who is down at the 3 o'clock position. It is Seed. I'm Seed again, spawning as our blue Protoss. He tried something a little bit cheesy, a little bit all-in-ish last game. Is he going to play more standard this time around, or does he think maybe that type of build is going to work best? Now, back the last time we really saw him play in kind of a big event was at GSTL a couple seasons ago, and he did have kind of a lot of crazy kind of one-base all-in type strategies. They worked pretty well, but I don't know, I think we're going to probably see something a little bit different this time around. That pylon kind of says forge fast, expand to me. And you know, the other thing that I wanted to mention too is something that someone on my Twitter actually just reminded me of, which I had forgotten, which was that Seed was actually knocked out of the GSL Code A qualifiers this season in the final round by none other than Slayers Ryung. So,
Slayers Ryung, very good player.
He's been sniping a lot of really good players lately. He's been getting a lot of wins on a lot of the top Korean pros, so definitely another guy to kind of watch out for in Code A this season.
That's very true, and we do see a lot more really good matches in the Code A qualifiers.
Oh man, Code A is going to be insane this season. It's the skill level is just so much better in Code A than it was 2-3 seasons ago.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we're starting to see some matchups in Code A that are actually stronger than some of the Code S equivalents.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, well, some of the players that unfortunately have been knocked down into Code A, like MVP, winner of the GSL World Championships, and Slayer's Boxer, of course, the legend, the Emperor himself. There's the Forge finishing right now for Seed, though it is going to be that Forge fast expand that we all know and love so well. And answering that pylon, that was kind of an odd place to put it, I thought, anyway, so.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would protect any sort of runaround, but there's really no reason to put it that far away. It doesn't really protect your expansion quite as well then. Or maybe he just wanted to get the expansion up before the cannon. He scouted that there wasn't any sort of super fast aggression coming from the Zerg. Might have been a blunder, might have been a reaction, we don't really know.
We'll never know. It's lost to the ages now. Now, with the Zerg player, what Horror can do, what I've seen a lot of Zerg players do lately, is go for kind of a crazy all-in build where you actually put up a Roach Warren right after you put up your second hatchery, and then you cancel it. You end up canceling your hatch and going Roachling all-in, and it's very, very good against Forge Fast Expands if they only put up, 1 or 2 cannons, which is common. So, yeah, we're going to have to see what he plans to do this time around.
Yeah, and he is getting the gateway up on the low ground. This is going to be able to let him reinforce the front very, very quickly. He doesn't use it in his wall like most Protoss players do.
Yeah, that's a weird wall in for a Forge Fast Expand. It seems a little bit risky. He does have 1 cannon, however, right now, so I don't know. I think 1 more building there, and he should be safe. But definitely he's definitely walling off in a way that I've never quite seen before, I think.
Yeah, but fortunately these Zerglings did not come very, very quickly, so he is going to be able to drop a pylon down if they're about to run by. Like we were talking about last game, you can throw those pylons down last minute and then just cancel it. So you're essentially spending 25 minutes for a temporary force field.
So these Zerglings are going to be trying to poke in, but of course not going to be able to do any damage with those 2 cannons there. And so the question is, will Junwei decide to go all in? I think he is. There's 5 Roaches on the way, so Junwei indeed is going to do that Roach all in that I actually talked about. I'm so happy that he's going to do what I have to be talking about this game. That's so nice. But the question is it going to be enough? There are 4 cannons on the way. 2 of them already completed right now. That drone, or the probe rather, does see the Roaches. That's probably going to force a couple more cannons to be built by our Protoss player. So I don't know. This all-in might end up not being that successful.
Yeah, and just to build the suspense a little bit here, we are going to turn down the game sounds slightly. We are getting reports that it is a little bit loud. And in addition to everything else that we're doing right now, we are trying to get a lot better. We are very new at this, so any sort of criticism that you can give us, we definitely want to hear it, and we'll try to improve everything that we do.
Alright, so speaking of improving what we do, I think that Horror's going to need to improve on this all-in because it's not going to be enough with all those cannons there. He's going to try to take out the pylon. And you know, actually, that pylon is going to not matter, really, because it's only going to unpower one cannon. Never mind, there's the other one. Oh, he will try to get into the base, though. Probe blocking it. That's not going to last very long. Good thing there are gateways being constructed there. But is it going to be enough? All the probes coming off the line to try to defend once that pylon goes down. And Horror is just going to be trapped. Oh, the Horror torch.
Yeah, and he is pulling all these probes over. He's not getting any money time. There's a little bit of a mistake pulling him a little too soon. The thing is that once, or if these gateways were to go down, he would want to be bringing the probes to the expansion where he can defend it a bit more easily. However, he was able to defend no problem because of these photon cannons, and he did cancel that second gateway.
And now, of course, Horror is putting up his natural expansion. He knows he has to try to do something macro-wise, but at this point he's so far behind it's going to be very, very difficult for him to kind of come back in the game. He is down by 3 probes right now, which is a huge amount in ZVP. Oh, double expanding even.
Yeah,
wow.
If you're down in a game like this, it is good to take that little risk and go for the second expansion. Your opponent is going to be playing a little over-defensive because they did almost lose the game, so they're like, oh, well, I survived. All right, let me macro up a little bit. Let me make sure my defense is tight, and then maybe I'll move out. Yeah. But that little over cautiousness from your opponent allows you to get up a second and third base, which can pull you back into the game.
And look at this already, Horror almost catching up in the probe count too. So really great play from both players, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, and there are a lot of photon cannons here, so this base is going to be quite safe. But if Horror can get out a lot of Mutalisks, the main expansion has almost no defense, so it is very vulnerable to any sort of harassment. You would force the army to move back and forth constantly, weakening the defenses in both areas.
Yeah, now a bit of a hidden pylon put up at the top of the base for Seed, so I'm a little bit curious if he's going to actually hide anything back there or if he just wants to get some advance warning when the Mutalisks do eventually come, presumably in this game. Now he is getting a starport as well, so he could go for that sort of Void Ray composition that we saw Younghwa do a little bit earlier. Zerglings poking in, trying to do some damage, but of course they're not going to be able to in that number, but they do kind of keep Seed on his toes at least a little bit. So at the same time, we do have the third expansion actually underway now for Horror. He does actually have drones transferred over there right now. And let's take a look at the income tab again. I'm really curious about that. 44 to 41, so now Horror is ahead again. And Overlord is going to see not a whole lot because that Stargate was at the bottom. I don't think he saw the Stargate, so that should be fine.
He did actually see the Stargate, so he knows what's coming. He is going to be able to prepare against it. He's throwing up that Evo chamber to try to get the Spore Colonies. Just to delay a little bit, he does need to get either Hydras or Corruptors out to be able to truly defend against this.
Yeah, the first Phoenix is out on the field right now. When you Chrono Boost Phoenixes, they build almost as fast as workers. It's actually crazy. So now the Phoenix will be able to at the very least, go across the map, take out Overlords, or augment this Void Ray as well. That's a good formation for picking up the Queen, keeping that Void Ray alive. And there's the pickup right now that's actually going to reduce the damage that Void Ray takes by quite a bit. Those other 2 Queens are going to take a long time to get to the creep there. That first Queen will go down. It will, and the Void Ray needs to make a run for it. So already, Seed able to do a little bit of damage with that. And now Junwee's on the... not Junwee, that was last game. Now Horror is on the defensive.
Yeah, Horror's on the defensive, but he is on 3 base compared to 2, so... like some of the earlier games that we saw, if he just delays long enough, he will actually survive and end up winning the game quite easily with a much stronger economy. So, Seed, in a desperation move, trying to just go around here, take out whatever he can. Because as soon as these Hydras do come out, this Air Force is going to be pushed back.
Pretty much, a lot of times. Now, looks like he does have some Roaches left, but a lot of times he can just go Speedling Hydra in this type of game as well. A lot of Overlords being taken out, though. Wow, he's losing so many of them. He needs to spend a lot to kind of keep from getting supply blocked, and that army for Seed being so annoying. And actually, the unfortunate thing for Horror is that he spawned at the top position on the map, and on Metalopolis, at that top position, there's actually a place for air units to hide, and that doesn't exist on the bottom position, actually.
Yeah, but Seed being a little reckless with these air units and almost does lose this Void Ray. He is going to be able to take out one last Queen, but is going to need to go home at this point. Spire going up. Seed does not know that it's going there. However, Seed is in the process of getting out Colossi. He is going to be chrono boosting those and the range just to make sure he can get it out a little bit faster, get that timing going, and hopefully do some sort of strong 2-base push here.
Well, the one big worry for Seed is that he doesn't have a whole lot of gateway units to kind of augment those Colossi. As you can see, they're just warping some more Stalkers in right now. And that's a little bit better, but still, against the Zerg on 3 bases, that's a little bit light. In fact, yeah, I like his decision here. He's going to go for the gold instead, and also Horror going for the gold as well as the base over at the 10 o'clock position. So Horror just trying to expand as much as possible, getting some lings in there that will see absolutely everything. In their last moments, they did report back to the Overmind that it was indeed Colossus lasers that killed them. Very useful information. And they will know that the gold is being taken as well, so Horror just playing fantastic.
Yeah, the Zerg does sometimes need to preemptively build tech in case he sees certain sort of units so he can counter. So that Spire was going up before he even knew that Colossi were on the way. But as soon as those Zerglings went in, he confirmed, yes, there are Colossi. Alright, time to make 8 Corruptors and just make sure they don't actually do anything. These Hydras do a ton of DPS, but they are somewhat squishy with only 80 health, so Colossi are a very good counter to them. But when Corruptors take out the Colossi, the Hydralisks take out everything else.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think Blink has been researched by our Protoss player either, so that's going to be a huge detriment if it does come to kind of a big fight. We do see a Twilight Council going down now according to production queue, so I'd imagine that has to be for Blink. I gotta say though, I really like Horror's style in taking that gold. A lot of Zerg players would be kind of nervous to take that in one of these types of games, but I like it. I'm liking this Horror guy. I think he's, although, how can you play for IM as a Zerg player and not be good? I mean, on the same team with Lucira and Nesty, I mean, some of that's got to rub off.
Yeah, the Zerg players at IM are very, very considerable. I would not want to be playing against them.
So, that gold base, good idea. Doesn't look like it's going to last, although here comes the army for Horror. And those Corruptors all sitting right over top of the Stalkers, but the Hydras are reinforcing from behind. One Colossus does go down, and it looks like Seed is going to be pushed back pretty easily for now. Lots of force fields going down, but the energy is starting to run a little bit lower on those sentries. So at this point, Horror is going to be able to push him back, and I think that Horror's just got a big enough economy to kind of keep the pressure on from this point on.
Yeah, he is on 5 bases now, sort of. The gold base isn't mining, but his army here is already going to be big enough anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. He is going to keep the Protoss army down a lot smaller, and if Zerg can keep the armies small, once that trigger gets hit, alright, time to go all in. They can mass produce on all of their hatcheries at the same exact time, and get this huge reinforcement number coming constantly.
I love that he's adding speedlings on here to do some extra damage to those Stalkers. Look at them kind of chew through the Stalker armies that lets the Roaches come in and finish the job. There are 2 Colossus out right now though, so Horror will need to pull back. For now, he's going to need to possibly make a few more Corruptors, although he did lose all his Hydras as well. No, instead he's just going to go lots of speedlings, a few more Corruptors, and all Roach at this point, which is a little bit more durable, I would say.
Yeah, it's a bit more durable, and it also doesn't use up the gas that you need on Corruptors.
Very true.
He doesn't quite have the resources to get both Hydras and Corruptors as reinforcements. Fortunately for him, though, it's not really necessary at this point in the game.
Yeah, small task force, I guess you could say, a strike team of Zealots moving across the map. They're going to be able to shut down this base. At the 10 o'clock position, that Queen is going to fight valiantly, but will go down very, very quickly. He probably wants to cancel those 2 extractors as well, because I don't think he's reinforced. In the meantime, at the gold base, a huge fight going on right now. Horror pushing in with his entire army. The Colossus going down very rapidly to the Corruptors, but does he have enough Roaches to push him back? It looks like he might, although he's going to need to reinforce a little bit more. Yeah, deciding to turn around and take out that gold base instead. So with that gold going down, that's going to really give Horror that huge lead that he needs economically to kind of just macro up and sort of finish the game. Although, up at the top of the map, those Zealots still causing a little bit of trouble, but they are going to be cleaned up pretty quick. Right now, the game looking very, very good for Hive Horror.
Yeah, Horror was saying, alright, see, you want to take on my expansion with a few Zealots? Well, I'm just going to kill you. and he's just moving into with this crazy Zerg army. His reinforcements are able to defend his main expansions, and then he's able to come back and win the game.
There it is, GG from Seed. So Horror able to actually take a 2-0 over Seed. So has the world gone crazy, Torch? We've got 2 ZVPs, and both times the Zergs have won 2-0. You know, again, this is incredible miracle. Their Protoss players are good, but not really something they're known for, while on the other hand, very, very known for their Zerg players.